Or the item was posted on the agenda prior to the meeting board, occurring not more than 5 calendar days prior to the date of this meeting. And at the prior meeting, the item was continued to this meeting. Okay, motion to start.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, we have, request for an additional,
Have you got items to add?
yes. Well,
So with addition of the request to add these items to the motion. Do I read all of it?
yes,
The motion to add to the action items to suspend all district-wide extracurricular activities for the remainder of the 2022-23 school year due to safety concerns. This includes but not limited to prom, all sports, graduation, promotion ceremonies. Graduates will do a drive-by and receive their certificates, the fish fair, the second run, the boat fair, art night, and field trips. Added to the agenda.
do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah, you're adding on the agenda.
I vote. Okay. Who opposed? Okay. The motion passes.
Agenda, the approval of the agenda.
The
passed.
agenda, not.
The agenda passes. Not the move out done. That action item will be added to action items. That's great. You action items. Very item. Non-agenda items to include any policy and procedure items. During this portion of the meeting, members of the public may address the board on matters not on the agenda if such matters are within the subject jurisdiction of the board. Members of the public may address the board regarding items on this agenda immediately prior to the meeting. 5 minutes, 3 minutes per speaker, 20 minutes per subject are being closed by the board president. No person shall initiate charges or complaints against individual employees or students of the district at a public meeting. I have comments, Melissa. Any comments?
Yeah, I do actually. I want to know what's going on with the suspension of all the activities or extracurricular activities.
Okay, it's an action item, it's not something that we're decide, I mean, it's going to be a discussion.
Okay.
In action item, that option.
My comment.
Okay. Tina, do you have any comments on the agenda?
Yes, I do.
So I think more people here tonight. I know that there's been some issues that are happening at the elementary school. The communication that has been sent out to me has been very vague. And I know you can't get into detail, but to me, if you have a possible threat at the elementary school, those students are writing letters with students from the high school, so the high school should also be included in that notification. And, maybe, I was talking with my mom about it, she suggested that we have, that we maybe should have had this meeting in Cuba, because there were other parents that did want to attend, but were asking about Zoom participation, which wasn't available here. So I'm sure there are other parents that did want to be here tonight to try to get some information. I was, I guess, a member for a while on the cycles for the elementary school this year. And never once did we talk about a school safety plan. And according to EDCO, that's where your school safety plan is supposed to be formulated, so you could get community and parent input. So that concerns me that this year, to my knowledge, it hasn't been addressed yet, and now we are having possible incidents that we should have a plan for. And staff should be familiar with it. Students should be familiar with that plan. And parents and community, if they were involved in formulating this plan, they would know. So those are that's a whole important piece of our community communication that hasn't happened. And I'd like to see it addressed as soon as possible. Don't know. I understand, I guess there's a site council meeting, Mr. Appleford has chosen not to communicate with me anymore. But I just hope that things happen at the elementary school. And if we can relay that emergency plan to the parents, I think it is a lot of concern. Yeah, it's in the other code that the site council does create a emergency plan, and that's the emergency plan after it's is approved by the weekly board, goes then to county office of education to be approved by the county office of education.
Let's approve the elementary schools in the common here.
Last year. Oh, last year, it would still be in effect.
And then
Last time.
and that there should be drills that are happening.
I think
That
that
would be
To piggyback on Tina had to say, we had a staff meeting, Teresa here, I'm sorry. Elementary. Just a link to piggyback, Ms. Tina had to share. We did have a staff meeting, we had the staff meeting. And at the last staff meeting, our principal told us that, I'm holding the district's, emergency employee security requirement here. So I was kind of trying to read it really fast to see if you specify how often you would recommend that our school sites have whole fire drills, and lockdown, earthquake drills, how even though the State Department may, teachers are researching that information right now, say fire drills can be held twice a year. Only needs to be mandated twice a year. Well, I would feel that our school students would try to hold those things more often. Yeah, that, and yes, it is inconvenient, for all the kids to get moved out, be released, get back on track. It is not something we like to do, but it's something that we need to do. Even with Mr. Willie helping us through this ordeal, we left meetings as teachers not understanding what the procedure was, or and kids not even, we have teachers taking it on in their classrooms to try to talk to them about what's a fire, what's an earthquake drill. But for an example, at the staff meeting, they said, this is the procedure, because you lock down, lock your doors, close your window, alarms going off. If there's a child right next to your door, quickly open the door and let them in. But after you lock the door, you cannot let another child in. That child needs to know where that child goes. They don't know the Humboldt County Library, they don't know the wellness center, they don't know the high school, I'm talking about my first year. They don't know where to go. That child's gonna be like this. You know, they're gonna stand at that door. So my children, you know, my students, they don't know when there's a kid out the door, they're supposed to, what's the thing? Run, hide, or fight. Run, hide, or fight. The farther away they can run, the safer they can be, whether it's a gun, a knife, a kidnapper, someone to do them harm. That's the first defense. Run, run, run. If you can hide or run. But my first graders don't know that. I would like to know if the board says that's a good thing you need to teach your first grade, or you need to teach those kids. What do you do if you are wrong? Where do you go? What's the plan? Teachers don't have a plan. We don't do that. Okay. So this is the picture. Yeah. It's like,
We will not stop.
Donna, I have you, did you want to discuss this issue?
Gentlemen, I was going to talk about today. I had my little school break. And I asked the little ones like. Lisa was talking about the different things that have to think about all that stuff. I asked if they were going to do. And my seventh grader, I asked them, what would you do? If the shooter was out in the yard, what are you told at school that you should do? And he said, run to the nearest building and go inside. I said, so then what would you do if the shooter was in your classroom? What would you do? What are you told to do? He said, we used to be told to go under the table or, you know, I guess that's for earthquakes and whatever. And then maybe just be quiet. And I said, no, I'm talking about if the shooter was in your classroom, what would you do? He said, I don't know, I guess run up behind him and grab one of the neck and try to stop him. Thanks. And so I said, so you would want to be the first target? Because if this person had a gun, it's going to shoot you. And I said, you need to think about that. And that's why I came down here tonight to say that our kids need to be educated what to do. And so then I asked the younger one what she would do. And she said, I was going to stab and kill. And again, I had to tell her. So you would be killed because he has a gun. The other one said, just throw all of your books out. These kids are not told what they should be doing. What is happening, you know? And to me, I'm saying, so you want to be the first target? So I want the board to think about, do you want our kids to be the first target? I don't. So that's, and there's nothing more I can say. You guys have to just use your not educated sense, but your common sense. You know, how serious this is and what we're looking at.
Thanks for that. Okay, so do you have any comment?
Yeah, I do. My concern is the high school principal, our high principal. I would like to know where that is at as far as when she can come back. She needs to be on site. My granddaughter's over there. talking to other teachers and staff and admin over there, they're still floundering. They don't have any stability. They're missing their leader. She's a dynamic lady. She's from our community. And I feel, well, it's caused us, our unit, trauma. Because we don't know, we love her. We know that she's dedicated, we know that she's put in 10 years of her time being a teacher. We know her education, we know her intelligence. I feel personally that she's being set out in the cold to just run out the school clock. She's ostracized. I want to see Miss Maggie back in on her job, doing her job, keep helping that high school end the year strong. All of this stuff that's going on right now, if she was in place, if she was there, they would be having drills. Those kids would know, she would be on, she would have a plan out before she even came to work the next morning, where she's gonna go, how she's gonna do. She's a dynamic individual. She needs to be on site. Otherwise, it appears to me that the people that I respect are part of the whole, scared of gay people, or not respecting children who may be of a different angle, or, my granddaughter, she had to figure it out. We let her figure it out. Gotta leave them alone and let kids figure it out. It's not for us to get involved. One thing that the superintendent could have done to both of those principals, she could have said,
Okay, we can't talk about.
well, it could have been handled better. The district could have said, you ladies go home and take care of your family. Let me know when you're ready to come back to work, and be back to work. Also did. Not just one of them being put out. They both needed to take care of their own business.
And so.
Yeah, I want her back. I want her back in place. It will leave our trauma, it will leave our respect as peers, as teachers in this district.
Yes.
And you should get her back on the job.
So I can't say anything about that situation other than there should be resolution by the beginning of next week.
But there will be a resolution by next week. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I feel like I can't articulate well because emotionally I feel it.
Okay.
So. Right.
Second.
Could I say one thing?
Yes.
If our superintendent is not here, or not at her job because she's ill, and if our assistant superintendent is acting, then my question is, why are we not hearing from, and Carmen, I love, I'm gonna say I love you, but I do. But I think the community would like to hear you as an assistant superintendent. You need to get your voice out as the assistant. If your superintendent can't be there, I'm hearing that from the community. That's what I'm relating for people that I talk to me about all the stuff that's going on. Where's Jennifer, she's out ill. And then, well, he's a assistant in Carney. Well, why is the Mrs. Carney stepping up? So maybe we could hear your voice a little more. That I'm not going to, I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm saying this. The best yet. And you can set up there. I see you talking when things get out of hand and who's able to hear it. You can do that and do the other part of this. Is that's what I'm doing right now.
I'm just here as a behind employee, and I want to know what your plan is for behind. I mean, it's gonna end the year, and wherefore Doug back stepped down, so he doesn't want to work for this district anymore because he is doing the best job he can with 51 men. And a lot of times in the afternoons, he has IEPs, he's stuck in meetings and our front office. We have one person right now at the high school. Becky, she's the principal secretary, she's managing the whole entire office. And are we gonna lose her because she's gonna be burned out? I know we don't have a lot. We have 5 weeks left, but our kids deserve more. And I wanna know what's the plan? We were promised a sub for the principal way back when Maggie was put on admin leave and we got that. So when Doug's gone, there's been subs and I can think of 4 different times. We have not had Maggie more than 4 days. So
And we realized that, it's only 5 weeks, but 5 weeks is.
it's a lot. The kids deserve that.
That's time getting. And
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, my name is Tina, elementary school, and I want to address the date issue, you need me to wait?
no, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I just want to be vulnerable with you and honest with you and real that, I feel like the worst case scenario is that somebody gets a new job and somebody graduates and the homophobic rhetoric goes unchallenged and sets a dangerous precedent for our staff and our community. And it needs to be addressed with a statement from the board of inclusion, acceptance. I know that our Rainbow Task Force put forward a resolution for you to adopt. I believe it was given to you in the middle of March because it was in the April board packet, but then there was a comment about it needing to be looked at by the lawyers, which I respect and understand, but I'm curious about that timeline. And I agree with all the sentiment that's been said. We need a principal at the high school, and we also need, if there are complaints that come forward, there needs to be a filter that takes out bigotry, that takes out homophobia, and people can make complaints. They just can't have those racist or homophobic tropes in there, right? I can make a complaint, but I can't slur someone about things. So I'm not sure what the process is. I know you guys have a process for complaints and timelines for resolving, and I'm so grateful to hear you say by next week we're gonna have a resolution. That makes me feel really grateful, because in the silence and no statement being said, there's only these little rumors, and it makes her seem like she did something wrong. It makes her seem like she's guilty, and we don't really know, right? But in my heart, I feel like the only thing that has missed out is that 2 kids love each other. And that's all I want to say, so thank you.
I feel like in the silence, it also adds to like,
I feel like the student at the behind takes them on their side. And they're feeling like, can they leave it south? Are they gonna, or other kids who are not of that, are they gonna be treated differently or beat up or bullied, ostracized because silent?
You might keep in mind, I'm 83 years old. I'm on my 3rd generation of raising children. And I've never, ever been ashamed of any one of them children, who they are, and what they choose to be. And I cannot in the wildest dream understand why 2 parents would be so ashamed of their child that they do all this stuff. And I'm not talking about certain people, I'm just saying, I'm talking about maybe Johnny down the road here and his wife are ashamed of their child or something. maybe it worked. You know, I can understand that. So let's go out, let's do all the damage we can to the people that support those two kids. This is not wrong. I cannot find that in my wildest dream. Who would be so ashamed of their own children to do this to other people? Because that's where my opinion is supposed to. But you guys. Even if you go to the Christian, you know, side of it. It said there's only one judge that can judge. So the Johnny down the street that's doing whatever it is, wife are doing, they're committing a hell of a big sin for being judged.
Thanks, number 3, title. Title 6. What do you title? No, that's true.
All right. I have a couple extras too, if somebody missed the attachments. Are we ready? Okay, so in your packets, there is an attachment, and I handed out copies here as well. I did want to point out one super quick, first kind of, I starred the items on the front sheet that has the goals and objectives, but I highlighted the wrong numbers. So I apologize for that, because there are new goals and objectives that the Indian Parent Committee identified. So just to backtrack a little bit, Title 6 is our Indian education formula grant that the district receives every year from the federal government for serving Indian students in our district. It is solely determined by 506 forms, so those enrollment packets, when we're hunting down forms, that's why they're so important. And they don't have to be forms for children that are enrolled in a federally recognized tribe. As long as their grandparents are enrolled in a federally recognized tribe, they are eligible for services. So our population is always higher than can report to the state, and in different reports and things, our 506 count is kind of our truest count that we have locally that we hold. So this year, we had to take account to determine how many Indian students we have. We send that in part 1 of the application, which was already submitted. They send us funding numbers back that says, because this is how many Indian students you have, this is how much money you will receive for next fiscal year. So I'm going to go all of the requirements, and one of them is to have a public hearing. So that is what we're trying to take care of today, is to have a step of a public hearing for our grant. We also have an Indian Parent Committee, which has consisted, we've had three meetings, we've had board members participate, thank you for being there, we've had community members participate, thank you for being there. Something else is that if we use this formula funding to serve high school students, we also need student representation. So we've had, I think, four high school students participate, some from Captain John, some from high school, so that's been very helpful as well. And so this is just one more opportunity to kind of have a general conversation, see if there's anything extra that we might be missing, talk about programming activities, anything extra and special that we want to add for this school year. So again, this is for 23-24. Your handouts that you are given show that our enrollment for the district has shrunk, and therefore our Indian student population also shrunk. So our allocation for next year's funding is actually smaller than it was for this school year. And like every pot of money that our district has, a good chunk of that is for personnel, for wages. And so we are in the process of refining those final numbers for actual costs of benefits and wages for our existing staff. And then whatever cost savings are going towards materials and supplies, travel, contractual, and those sorts of things. And I just wanted to open it up. Oh, the goals and objectives that I did want to share also. On the first page, the kind of table. The very first one on the top is increased academic achievement. That is a new added one. It's kind of been embedded in the other areas, but the parent committee decided that that was something to highlight and focus on. So that is a new addition. And then also increased parent participation was something that came out of the Indian Education Parent Committee meetings as well, to add that as well. And then the others are all things that have been there probably for years and years. So increased knowledge of cultural identity and awareness, enhanced problem solving, cognitive skill development, including supporting and attaining state standards, increased career readiness skills, increased Native American language instruction and programs, and increased support for at-risk students. So those are all of the goals and objectives. There are some activities and services listed. A lot of it is pre-populated, and then we get to interpret that how we want and decide what's best for our students and for our communities to make sure that we give students the best that we can. Are there any questions or thoughts? On the back page, if you turn your page over, if you have a double-sided copy, that kind of shows a little more of the actual budget. So personnel is a good chunk of that. Funding, travel, we did increase that from last year. It hopes there is cost savings, and if it is, we are 2 new staff in our office that have not gone to the National Education Association conference in a little while, and especially in these new goals that we hold, and it's only an Albuquerque. So there's time for us to go. That felt better than having to travel across the country. And this something we talked about with our parent committee. Supplies, we definitely increase that if and when we can. Contractual, same thing, we have different presenters or performance agreements or guest speakers or cultural experts that we can bring into the classroom. That's what that line item is for. And then others kind of the catch all ones there last year, just punished. And then on the far side, there are some notes and ideas, and these are some things that came out of our meetings that we talked about. There was discussion about how to offer more supports for WICHPEC. Your automatic elementary school, and also here at the general and how to really make sure that we're not leaving any schools out. There was, especially from the students, they love field trips, and they reiterated that like to go gathering, want to be out of the classroom and take different tours. Somebody even was like, can we go camping? And we want to do some things like that. Same with crafts and other traditional skills, trying to find and create space for those different cultural activities that they need. We did have some strong participation from the Bureau Tribes Language Department, and that was really helpful in the conversation. And was talking about the possibility of trying to figure out how to do kind of a language event similar to like we do for the fish fair. Where we're Indigenous Peoples Day, where we're doing all of these different activities and things around language. So, and you're all highlight that those efforts and curriculum and all of the things that go into that. And then it's been also versed that he felt that we needed more tutoring supports, even like one-on-one at the high school level. And that is a lot of what our discussion was too. Our positions have primarily focused on K through 3rd grade, but the more that we're seeing the greater needs, it's beyond that too. And so that came up in conversation too of just how that could possibly look like if there's extra cost savings, whether that's like a tutoring program or finding college students to work with to help do some extra and stuff. So that's where we are. It's due Friday, so we should be done very soon. I just wanted to have a quick moment today to, if there were questions or suggestions or thoughts or anything else. Thank you for your time.
Obviously, we had to change one.
Part of it is that we identified that there were some, misclassification that we needed to correct. So there was actually more reported in personnel and benefits than we actually have positions. So that was the full bridge that we get to kind of move around a little bit. And then our entire cost rate went down for next year. Thank goodness for that, because that helped us out as well. And between those two things that helped us, we can actually push in some of those other areas for direct services. We were pretty dang close this year. We get a little bit later in the census days than we normally do, but because we have so much transition staffing and stuff, we took like between November and right before winter break with our window, and we got 820, and I don't think we had it. But everybody that could have turned in the form, no. We tried, so we got pretty close.
I would like to request that I would like to have a copy of the application that you submit to get these dollars. So the parent, grandparent on the committee can see what our guidelines are and what we can, I just would like to know more about where these dollars are supposed to be spent and if we're doing it the right way. I would like to have that as soon as possible, to have that application.
Yeah, that's possible, and it's all that federal register document that we had printed, that's where it outlines all of what you can do.
But the actual, not that,
What's
the
that?
application itself. So that,
Yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. There's two parts. We have part one where we do the student count, and then part two is what's due on Friday. So part one is so after you did the student count, say this is our window, this is our enrollment, this is how many Indian students, and then they take a couple months to look at it. And they send us back based on the student count, this is how much your allocation can be, budget, and sentence. So we can get that.
and also the dead program too. For that application. That and that part too. Whatever goes back to get the funds, I'd like to see that.
Okay, that's the million head. Were you talking about income paid maybe? Is that what you're, okay, I don't submit that application, the district office submits that.
But we can get that.
I think
I know it's available, but it's not something for us. Whoever do that from, you give the application for engineering. And also when we say they do have policies. And again, question how that we always get answered back from past boards for 50 years now. Well, we have to follow policy. So here I am at my age of saying, well, what is the policy? And then if I know the policy, I want to know what your procedures are of that policy. So I think we would have will be so much time taken in board meetings if we knew the policy and the procedure. And we wouldn't have to be saying words if we actually, because
that did remind me to for the Indian Education Parent Committee, it is a requirement that we are funded. We have 6 months from the start of this year to adopt bylaws also, which is something that we need to do. So that will happen and we'll also discuss that for committee as well. Taking action, approving things and so on. For
one thing that I wanted to say to add to all this is, this is for this side also, so. If there are parents and family members from this side and from all of the other sides, actually, you know, we need to hear your input as well. What you would like to see happen, with getting it in your schools.
There's one other small grant that we have from the Department of Education, from California Department of Education. And that has reading coaches 3 hours for individuality and 3 hours for this side, which I think is the unfilled position. And then this particular grant that we're having the public hearing for today, basically 2 reading coaches at L, 3 hours for reading coach at and a women's cultural resource position that is at the school most weeks. And then a portion of my salary, and then our sort of activities. Increases.
I like the idea of the cultural resource person. I think that would be something that would benefit all of our sites. So is that something that has to come from our site councils, or how does that process happen? Because reading is important, yes, but I do believe that all of our sites could benefit from.
Absolutely, I agree. And that was something that we had to unravel a little bit, honestly, and I don't fully know exactly where or when it started. But it's kind of increased in hours and in the school over time. And so, yes, if we could have one of those types of positions at every site, probably for our bigger sites, more than one, right? That would be ideal. And it could be something that I think this is all, I mean, I have to defer to you. But I think it is something that could either fit inside the plan if they wanted. It could be something that if there was extra cost savings, I think that there just happened to be extra cost savings one year, and they said, hey, let's try this, and then it just stuck. And I think that's what happened and how that particular one has been sustained.
It seems like we as a district could find other ways to fund reading specialists and then utilize our your funds to have resource specialists. I think, and I don't know if anybody else would agree with me, but I think that would be a better allocation of resources. It makes more sense. You know, as a school, we should be figuring out ways to provide reading support and not relying on this funding to do that.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Can I say one more thing? Because if you are not providing the reading support, we're gonna figure out a way to do that, right? But we're not going to figure out a way to provide the cultural resource.
I was just curious, Eric, because I've heard of what you in the school year, I really was that you're all trying to offer them grant. That would
Lori, I think you were talking about a potential partnership with the Bureau of Tribe for a grant that was proposed. I think it was proposed maybe last school year or the very beginning of the school year, and then beginning of the school year. I don't think so. Well, actually, it was last school year. Last year it was declined by superintendent. Yeah, and then, only because I saw the letter. And then I think Jim and I had a couple emails and I put the pilot up a couple times and then like, yeah, we're going to do tribal consultation, let's talk about it. And then we still didn't get to calendar, not because we haven't tried.
Okay.
So I think it's still, yes, it's something that's on the table.
Well, I sort of wasn't because.
Mhm. I think it was maybe right when Marco was leaving and they had the approach, and then it was like. Person, I think that's, I don't, I think it's something else.
But secondly, I think, well, that's good, I'm glad to hear that. And secondly, I want to thank you for making this, putting this report together. You want to what we talked about in the area meeting, and it's very easy to understand. And I really appreciate it.
Oh, we get to do this every year. So we just next year, we do it again next year. And we can in the future apply for like a 5-year window instead of the 1 year, but just because we were also new this time, I felt like we'll just try one and see how it goes and then adjust from there. Appreciate the feedback and we'll definitely make notes because I think years ago I remember having the same conversation with Martin about like how to think that all of the district's reading deficit is housed within Indian and not somewhere else when it could be with other really important things.
Well, I would like to add to that, that I was in a meeting this morning, and I saw her here, but I don't see her now. She could view. I'm sorry, that was rude. Okay. The council was talking, we had our skill on the council was talking about the education and how we are not having success in our primary grades, consistent with the success that the tribe is having and the delivery of culture and language along with education and how they would like to see that increase. Do you want to? Do you remember that conversation?
I do remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like from my vantage point, it's what is most needed of all. It's like, I don't know, I kind of bring it back to my roots in early childhood, which is like this, it was like a hard thing to sell back then, but like you can't teach kids to read and write until they learn, social emotional skills. Like this is what grounds them, and like here, this place, what I love is what grounds students and makes them able to both heal from the trauma of colonization, but also able to access their academics, is access to the cultural activities and experiences. And I know that I've been able to see that some kids have a lot more access to that than other kids. So as travel education, we're super dedicated to that. I'm excited about better happening with you all.
So I would hope that we could take those comments and also include those in your and make the change right away.
Yeah, by Friday. No, I mean, that's, yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk about it. Let's talk about it next year.
Yes.
Talk about it next year after that, and then, let's make it happen.
Yeah, no, I think that's even better. I know this is like a total personal side note, but just I can tell you that when I am doing language immersion in the summer and I have our superstar kids, they are the kids that are kicked out every day in 3rd grade and the classrooms get put out every day. And it is such a struggle for me to see what they're not being able to access in that setting versus how I can see them thrive in the settings where their skills are fostered. So not pushed out. So yes, let's fix that. Yeah.
Reading programs, because for all, that's the big presentation, skill set. That's the big working.
Hey, well, I put in a request, but we're actually, it's a little bit of a team effort. Our principals are here and, yeah, so I presented a little slideshow to share with you, but the technology is such that it's on the opposite side. Because the wall panel is broken, my computer would have to be plugged in like around the turn in the closet. So I don't have it big for you, but if it's okay, I'll show it to you on my laptop here. And I'll kind of do a sweep for everything. So my name is Tina Webb, and I am a teacher on special assignment at Hoopa Elementary School as our school-wide level reading program facilitator. So part of what my job is to assess students and level them by reading group and form groups and help teachers have their materials to teach them. So students might be in a 6th grade class, and when it's reading group time, those homeroom students leave their class and go to a new classroom, and they might go to whatever their grade level is, could be above grade level, could be below grade level, what is specific for their needs. And that 6th grade teacher could then teach maybe a 4th grade reading level, right? So the reading teacher portion is kind of separated from the homeroom piece. And part of the beauty of that is in a typical classroom, there's like mixed abilities. And a lot of times teachers will create like center rotations where, students are going through and maybe they get 20 minutes with the teacher and another 20 minutes they're maybe doing word work or 20 minutes on a computer time. And so in the SFA model, the whole time the students are leveled as close as we can, right? Within the proximal zone, they're leveled, and then they're getting that whole time frame is at their level. So that's one of the differences in our reading program. It's based a lot on cooperative learning, and there are students they're reading aloud in partnerships. So in a typical class, there might be, like, for example, if we were all in partnerships, we would have each person in that partnership would take a turn reading. So we have to teach our kids to use the just right level, right? Loud enough that your partner can hear, but quiet enough that we keep a learning environment. And our kids, instead of just popcorn reading, one person reads aloud the text and only one person is reading at a time in kind of a more typical classroom. In an SFA classroom, 15 people would be reading right now, and we would be reading in partnerships. So the time that students are actively engaged in the struggle of reading or the ease of reading, depending on their level, is magnified. And that's one of the beauties there. Students also work in teams to discuss problems. They're working on not only comprehension, but summarizing, predicting, clarifying, and students are giving feedback to each other throughout the program. All of it is based on the research proven practices. That's like SFA comes really strongly with like, well, if it's research proven, then we can get behind it, but we don't want to just adopt a program or have practices that don't have the science of reading included in it. Science of reading, level direct instruction, layers of learning, cooperative learning is all a big piece of it. So this is a model that has the reading groups down here. We have a 1st grade reading level, which teaches phonics and decoding, and it's sequential and layered. That's our Roots program. And then in Wings, it's for students who are reading at levels 2nd through 6th. And they're, whole group instruction, they're having real novels and expository texts. They're going through the process of talking about it, exploring it, and increasing their vocabulary, their word skills.
reading edge. Tutoring is also a piece that is on my, like my job is this bottom half of this circle. But ideally, we would have some of these other things in place. And I know some schools are actively have that in place or have combined some of those, but they are what we call our solutions teams, school-wide solutions teams. So there's one for attendance, like, hey, we know we have an attendance issue. What's our goal and how are we going to get there? There's one for intervention, students eloping, students not engaging. There's one for community connections where we make connections with organizations that help us, you know, maybe have our senior citizens read with our readers, or maybe we get, you know, Target to donate a bike for our PBIS, you know, attendance theme. It's about community. There's cooperative culture, which ties in really closely with our PBIS systems, and then parent and family involvement. There's a whole team that's part of this upper half that's called the leadership team, the school-wide solutions problems. And that's kind of the goal that we're working on for this upcoming year. Another thing that's kind of cool about SFA is it comes with coaching. So every school in our district has some time with the SFA point coaches. They're coming to our sites. They're working with the facilitators and the leaders to help us implement the program. And then at my site, every teacher is offered the opportunity for coaching on their instruction, where they can say, hey, I'm really proud of this part, but I'm struggling with this. And then they can work with me to create a goal for like, and try it out for a couple of weeks. And then we revisit it and say, hey, how did that go? Did it solve the problem, or do we need to adjust it? Or, hey, I didn't try it, I'm going to commit to something else. And we have that kind of built-in opportunity for self-improvement. Hoopa L results. At the beginning of the year, our baseline, our students that were reading at or above grade level was 11%. Just gonna let that sink in. So I'm not super proud of that, but that's the reality, and that's where we are. We have made steady improvements every trimester. At the end of trimester 1, we had 17% of our students could read at or above grade level. And by the end of second trimester, 21% of our students could read at or above grade level. So from the beginning of the year to the end of the second trimester, we doubled. So it's still pretty low, but we are making steady improvements. And our goal for the final trimester is to increase another 3%. And we got this goal from our SIPSA had a 10% achievement improvement on our CASP. And we said, hey, if it's 10% on the CASP, we would want to see 10% in our reading program or our reading levels for our students. So we divided the 10% over the trimesters, then we came up with 3.3%. So we've met that mark each time, and we're well on track to meeting it for the end of the trimester. The biggest exciting news is that we have what's called the Roots program is first grade reading level. It teaches this letter makes this sound, right? Or this spelling pattern makes this sound. And that's our Roots program. And at the beginning of the school year, we had older Root students, which are students that are not in first grade, they're second grade, third grade, fourth grade. We even had some fifth graders who were still reading at the first grade reading level. We had 104 at the beginning of the year. And at the end of the second trimester, we had 21. So we graduated 80-something students out of the first grade reading level up into they can read, they're done decoding, and they're working on fluency. So that's a major, major gain. And I'm so proud of our teachers and all the work that they've done. So I have a couple student testimonials. I don't know how well it's going to be heard. This is Thomas. I did get permission from families to share their testimonials. Oh yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
Thanks for your patience.
It's been really good and Nicole. And you know, my reading and my writing.
So this is a young man who had 3 years of improvement, 3 years of growth in 1 year. Oops, sorry. This is a student Mavis. She was in the roots as an older student and she's now on level with me. I'm learning how to read in my SB class. I'm proud of herself. Okay, I have a couple other teacher testimonials, but I'm gonna pause here. Do you guys want to hear? I don't want to take too much time. I know that there are other folks who want to present. You're saying yes, show them. Okay, so this is Miss Moreno. She teaches 4th grade at Hoopa Elementary School. She's a new teacher and she is sharing her experience. All right. She's very young, first year.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Moreno. I am teaching.
The other side.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brittany Moreno. I am teaching the
Yeah, she goes on to share that at first she was really intimidated by the program. And there was like a lot of moving parts, but she shared that, you know, once she's taught 3 cycles now and she's had an opportunity to use the teacher manual. And one of the things that's cool about, that I think is cool about SFA is that it has an interactive whiteboard. So there's like a built-in slide deck that the teachers have, it automatically has the lesson there. And there's a rhythm, right? So every day you do your vocabulary and then you want to build this knowledge, and it's all the big questions are on there already. It's kind of embedded. I'm not sure that any of these others are going to load. Miss Gordon, she gave a testimonial about how she sees her students improving, and the thing that she's really honed in on is using sentence stems and answering in complete sentences, which, you know, sometimes people just be like, well, it was black, you know, instead of saying like, I know that the student improved, or the character changed over time, because in the beginning he had, you know, pink and now he's black, and I have that evidence because on page 4 or something, you know, like just really robust answers are starting to come out. And she also testified that she's seeing it transfer into her own group too. What else? Probably overdid it a little bit. No. My name's. I have a parent who, I'm on the 8th grade parent committee, and we were making spaghetti for one of our dinners, and she said, no, my kids both went from like non-readers to being at grade level. And I was like, hey, would you record that for me? So, yeah. Okay, so next steps. Next year, the elementary school, we don't know who our principals are going to be. So it is my request that we send them to the New Leaders Institute so they can learn and see the big picture for SFA. And I think it's really important that they go. I also think if we can find a way for it to happen, I would like to go too, to kind of usher them through the process and talk about what we have in place at Hoopa L and what we still need to get in place at Hoopa L. All of our staff needs additional professional development. And, you know, at the first time we got the training for SFA, we had 2 days and all of us were kind of in our downstairs brain, because, I mean, I'm just gonna go there, because the day before our 5 days, our nurse quit. And we were all just like, oh no, what's happening? What's going on? So it's really hard for us to learn in the same way we're talking about for our students, right? It was really hard for us teachers to learn the program, because we're just like worried, like, oh no, we don't know what's happening. So more professional development and honor teachers' times. If they say, I'm gonna come on my summer to do this professional development, we'd like to get paid for that. You know, because we want to do a really good job for our students, and having more support and more professional development would be really important for us. I also think you heard my numbers, our numbers, right? Our numbers, we really need to get our kids to read. You know, 2 out of 10 kids at Cobell can read at or above grade level. We need tutoring. I really want to help find a way for us to get some tutoring at Cobell. Teacher tutor, full-time tutor, we already are working on getting it in our site plan, but we're asking, pleading for help from the board. And then just continue with our ongoing tutoring. And I just want to remind you and leave you with, previously, I had sent it before elections, but you might have all got an email that I had sent out about Edmund Lowe. They're a school district in South Dakota. They have a 98% indigenous population, very rural, similar demographics to us, 530 kids in a K-6 school. When they joined SFA, they had 40% of their kids could read at grade level. 5 years later, including a year and a half of COVID distance learning, they had 75% of their kids reading at grade level. It's a major improvement. So we have the resource. We are excited to share it with you. Thanks for listening.
Obviously, you know, I was teaching before I got up here. We had some, we had some, PD in Coke, New York. Are they still active in our PD centers? Instead of, let's just throw it out, instead of sending new administrators in November to these workshops, and obviously the staff, I would assume the staff would agree that the more training is necessary and needed to welcome. Maybe it's another time to bring SFA to Trinity. Get them to house workshop Trinity.
I think,
I'm sorry. I'm not looking for like specifically. Excellent information. What I'm hearing is training is out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, you're wanting to send staff from the district to some place.
We also want to do that in addition to having our trainers come and do other supports.
The new leadership conference is in Baltimore this year. It's encouraged for all the districts that are participating in success for all and any leaders to new leadership conference, including folks that have commitments. Basically get them on board with programs so they can manage students.
what's the date for Baltimore?
You know, I have to look if I something. But in addition to that, I also have bill agreements and for the list of dates, the proposed dates that SFA does come out for us. So
I just want to make a point that we've never had the training way that the was supposed to happen, because we had a course plan down and then smoke happened, whatever, and we had to switch it into a new day. And try to make that part of the next year, the exact same thing happens. We've never had that, no week long robust training or like that. But we do have, I think we do have the coach who comes out once a month and works with us, works with our teachers, and I think that's super beneficial. We learn so much every time she comes out. Get that consistent.
So I would like clarification from Ms. Tina about the 11% that long pause. Can you explain again about the 11% that's not reading at grade level, or how is that? And I would like to know, is it average that the attendance, like kids who don't attend and get zeros because of attendance, is that all added into the timeline of where you get this 11%? Because, you know, we do need, SFA does need attendance. Even though the program is spirals, we still have, I feel, our district in general could do a lot more to support attendance.
Absolutely, attendance is a big issue, kids have to come to school if they're gonna learn. That 11% was from the baseline, which is taken from the last year, and then now we're at 21%. So, it is just based across the board. If a student has to come to school, or we haven't had a chance to get any of their data, they're considered, mastery unknown or unverified. Mastery unverified 0. Basically, we don't have the data that's not determined. Yeah, we don't know what level they are. That is on all of that, it's the whole school.
So you're saying that is part of the average?
It is a part of the average.
But I have a question, when we were out on COVID, the kids didn't attend, but and you said their reading level went down. Where did they get their, who was teaching them?
Are you asking about the study of the other school,
No, I'm talking about here. No, about it. When we were out on COVID, we said we were at 100%. We were, whatever, we were lost.
Yeah.
And then when we came back, we had improved.
Yes,
So who taught those kids?
all of us, all of the teachers that
The
you
kids
see.
were not in school.
No, I don't have any data from COVID.
Okay.
The data that I presented, that was 11%, that was like June of 2022. And the 21% double is end of the second trimester, which I think is March, late March, early April of 2023. So that's showing the growth over 1 year, or 2/3 of the year.
And another question I have is, what you're saying tonight, how we're raising us all great. But tonight look at the FFA reports and our reading level is down. How do you compare your report with the FFA?
A lot of the times, did you use the data from Success for All to get the impact?
We met here.
My understanding I've been thinking,
Yeah, it's
yeah, I don't know, do you know what the numbers were for that? Yeah, like it's, yeah, I'm not sure.
That's James.
I would think probably, I think that's what has them. Yeah.
If attendance was low or something, still be that.
Our attendance does have to step forward to say our attendance are low because of COVID. Our attendance are low because of COVID and lack of teachers attendance at the school. And then people like me tell my family, keep your kids home because we don't know who's going to teach your kids and we don't know where they're going to go. That's the reason, one of the reasons why our attendance is low. It's not only the COVID, it's, it's no more excuse. I don't like that. Our attendance for our staff is good, morale is low, and we've got to not sugar, you gotta say it like it is.
So Ms. Tina covered most of everything. I can't really add much, but I think that the success is based on the engagement. This program forces kids to engage. There's clear expectations and they know the routines and the SFA program is kind of like peeling back an onion. We're all kind of learning more and more about it. There's a lot to learn about the program. Some of kids have jumped like 2 years in 1 year, very low kids. So it is having success in our district. And that's all I have to report.
that, at Jack Norton Elementary School, students are reading at, the students that were reading at or above grade level, both were 47%.
Yeah, and probably at the beginning of the year, I think, you know, it looked like we were down in the teens or the 20s. So it's, you know, Terry comes in monthly and helps coach Rodney and myself and Hunter. And you know, you got a tough teacher down here and these kids learn. So yeah, he wants it to be like 90%. So he's so anyway, yeah, it's a good program.
Okay.
Can you use the microphone, Martha? I can't even hear you.
Well, I look at it. If you guys would like to go ahead and get your plates, while we go through some of this stuff, because it's gonna be. Nice all of you.
I think we're,
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
Complimentary, okay. I don't mind if I-
Information that I have stored and not here that I didn't have to say.
Yeah,
Have a perfect.
I would like.
Okay, great, and we have things that happen to that.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Item B, announcement, KTJUSD writing project writing conflicts winners 2023. KTJUSD is proud of our writing methods and represent our teachers, deputies, solving, and wanted to share the winning writers. Oh, sure. And hoping everybody will learn it. And hoping everybody will have that. Oh, okay. Okay. So.
That's what you got to hand out. Right.
I can hear about read and trade. Choice and intelligence. Having afraid. You have and congratulations. An announcement about this consult session for Tracy, our Indian Education Director. And community engagement events. Those two really all have discussion. They're now going into a closed session. Never mind, we're not going into technical session. Any board members have any discussion? E, first reading of KTJUSD and board policy 060, control of accountability plan of permit for updating and following 060. First reading KTJUSD bylaw 1920, meeting contract, meeting conduct for review for the concept updated bylaw 1920. First reading KTJUSD bylaw 9270, conflict of interest for review for the concept updated bylaw 9270. H, first reading KTJUSD bylaw 9273. Filling vacancies for the purpose of updating bylaw 9223. First reading KTJUSD bylaw 9220, governing board elections for the purpose of updating bylaw 9220. Okay, draft impact day reports, tribes and community members 21-22. School board would like to thank the eighth graders. And Lena, this wonderful meal. Slide B, KTJUSD special projects. Have a written report. Does anybody have any questions? Would you like to add in?
I have lost. You call me up? Sorry, I could barely hear. I don't need a mic if everybody. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm here for two reasons. One, I got my board report, which I was happy to provide for you. And in probably the most timely thing that's happened this year, I had alluded to us having a timeline for finding out whether or not we received the grant. The grant application was approved by the state, and yesterday afternoon, we received notification that we were approved. We're going to be approved for funding. So $5.4 million coming to the district over the next 5 years. So I wanted to thank the administrators that worked with me on their particular sections of that. All 601 pages of documentation that was provided, and also Northern Humboldt support that we got from Jack Morellis and Jory McComas. They were instrumental in helping us kind of structure how things were looking and did the final look over of what I produced. So that felt really, really good. Now the real work has to begin here, and we already have some wheels in motion for how we're going to staff the positions that grant provides funding for. And to address something that Tina brought up, the bulk, not the bulk, but a good portion of that money is earmarked for professional development. So we're already working on a calendar how to provide that and go from there. So did anybody have any questions about that grant in particular? It's
Congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Probably know that you said A, where you said that by the end of the year, status on some experience. That all takes that 100, that is.
They're all, yeah, so 6 separate grants technically had to be written, one for the well, the 6 sites, and we had an umbrella grant for the entire district. So that includes, except for Wichita. Wichita did not qualify because the unduplicated numbers. So all the sites have received are being approved for funding. So, yeah. So the other reason I came down today is Sarah Owens, who is our SFA lead. It seems like we're pretty concentrated on SFA today. I don't know if that was a coordinated effort, but Sarah Owens intended to be down here to provide her report for Trinity Valley. And I passed that out, and there's some numbers. I won't go over the numbers. I'm sure they're pretty self-explanatory. But what I didn't want, she asked me to do was to read for you an article that is being posted in Johns Hopkins University educational newsletter, highlighting Trinity Valley. And if you'll bear with me, I'll read this to y'all. So this is from their success story. Success for All in Johns Hopkins University newsletter. So the challenge says, well, dynamic change in a California school in 1 year. Trinity Valley, located in the Climate Trinity Joint Unified School District of California, adopted Success for All in 2020 and has since seen remarkable outcomes, especially with students that participate in SFA tutoring. The challenge: prior to implementing SFA, Trinity Valley faced challenges in maintaining a consistent schedule and utilizing a curriculum that was over 2 decades old. Teachers had to pick and choose teaching materials because parts of the previous curriculum were no longer available for purchase due to its age. This made it challenging to establish a structured and familiar learning environment for both teachers and students. Trinity Valley, along with other schools in the district, made a deliberate choice to adopt a research-proven program, and after thorough investigation, decided on SFA. As part of SFA, they began structured intentional tutoring for students in grades 1 through 6, with 44 below-level readers in the tutoring program. While the transition from the previous program to SFA may have been challenging in the first year, their unwavering determination and commitment to the implementation process ultimately brought great success. Sarah Owens, the SFA facilitator at Trinity Valley, mentioned that SFA is accessible, SFA is simple yet focused in every classroom, and students are actively learning. Results: following 2 years of implementation, SFA Trinity Valley has witnessed remarkable results and received positive feedback from both teachers and students. The implementation of a consistent routine has made the school day more familiar, resulting in significant growth in student learning and positive behavioral challenges. In addition, students in SFA tutoring have flourished. SFA facilitator Sarah Owen said, "In my 28 years of teaching, there are always kids who just don't get it no matter what we do. They don't seem to progress. It breaks your heart these students struggle with reading, so it is tremendously exciting to see specific students who have previously struggled to make progress after being placed in the appropriate reading level. Fill in all the missing gaps that they had. Two particular success stories stand out are the stories of Roscoe and Madeline. Roscoe's story. Roscoe is a lively student who had a hard time when it came to reading. The school decided to put him in SFA tutoring. In the beginning, he struggled, but when it finally clicked, he was able to grow 4 months in 3 weeks. Madeline's story. Madeline is described as a sweetheart who loved vocabulary, but struggled with reading. After doing SFA tutoring for 6 months, she grew 2.4 years in 6 months' time, and her tutoring partner grew 1.4 years. So that's the story. And the other thing that I wanted to piggyback on what Tina was emphasizing to you all is that we already have some talks in place, and we'll be continue working with the site council at Hoopa L. There are funds available for us to do this tutoring. We just have to reallocate and look at that site plan, which we had our first meeting. We're meeting weekly until we get that site plan back to you again for approval for next year. So we have no hitches in the giddy up and getting us going. So there are multiple funding streams. In fact, tomorrow I have another meeting with County Office of Education for additional ELOP money, which is all about extended learning. That's what our ACES program is primarily funded through. So we're hoping to even gather some more resources so that we can fund the teachers that are willing to stay and do that extra work and work with these students in tutoring. The SFA program as a whole is working great. The tutoring component where the students are getting individual, sometimes 2-on-1, 3-on-1 attention is where we're seeing the huge shift. So across, I haven't talked to parents specifically, the only one I really looked at for tutoring piece, but in talking with Terry and the other site administrators, it's pretty incredible. So thanks for letting me share and thanks for continuing to support what we're doing. Thanks.
Hello, good evening. My name is Melissa. I'm the Wellness System Coordinator for the district. I submitted my reports, offering lots of information about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 supports that have been happening throughout the district. We're going to continue to build on supports, enhancing and expanding. Some fentanyl awareness presentations were coordinated with the elementary, high, and Captain John in partnership with Kamau Behavioral Health. Those were scheduled for this week that are right now postponed until next Monday, and given conversations, perhaps we'll continue to move forward with those. We're also expanding partnerships. North Coast Rape Crisis has been doing some violence prevention educations in the school. They've also contacted me. They're wanting to co-locate at the Wellness Center. I've been working a lot with Kamau Behavioral Health this past week. RTRC reached out and they want to co-locate at the Wellness Center. So as we continue to build the partnerships with the district, I think that we will also notice an increase in overall health and wellness and how people are feeling, but more importantly, offering crisis and triage support as needed at our site. We've been doing a lot of work on the wellness website, or I have. I continue to offer more information related to health, mental health, alcohol, other drugs, tobacco, and sexual affected
offerings. I know that there's a lot in these reports, and I'm really interested in getting some feedback about your thoughts about this. I know that I jam-pack them with data and a lot of screenshots. Is there anything that you have questions about, or you'd like me to focus on, or perhaps offer information about? Thank you.
So students become more comfortable as things progress. You can see this, like, for example, counseling our students becoming more comfortable. After trying to access these programs.
I think so, and so much so that we don't have enough providers to offer tier 3 support. So my goal is to expand on tier 2. We need to get a lot of support groups going so that we can offer some intensive support in a range of topics, whether it's grief and loss, or coping strategies, or just a range of support services. And that's what I've been talking to our community partners about, holding those not only at the wellness center but at sites. And I think that if we look at the number of providers that we have, for example, at L this year, that has been increased substantially. We also can look at Captain John and in terms of the ratio of student to staff member or provider, like those have been increased substantially. We have about 22 providers that circulate through the wellness centers every week. And like I said, that's continuing to build. I hope to continue to build on the relationships that I have with the county. Public health reached out, the district just signed an MOU regarding oral health. We also are noticing that county mental health is interested in being available to support students. So again, my idea, because all of our providers in terms of mental health, one-on-one counseling are waitlisted. Two Feathers, Kamau, United Indian Health, we're beyond capacity for tier 3 support. So we have to really start looking at offering support through the classroom, the school-wide approach, and of course, whatever we can do to increase our partnerships so that we can continue to offer support in all of those areas. Yeah.
I was just curious, Melissa, about your Walk the Halls program.
Yeah, so I work with the Tribal Education Association in a range of levels. I've been supervising some Cal Poly Humboldt social work students that and truancy, and the Walk the Halls idea came from one of the interns, which is also part of the Tribal Education Association, and so we've offered to collaborate and support those efforts. So a lot of the decisions that are made tonight will impact those activities. The goal is to it's kind of like a handoff, right? So like with the 8th grade student coming from elementary, for example, and the seniors, right? They're going to be passing each other in the hall. It's like a handoff of the pond, so to speak, right? And to show that shift, kids coming in and to memorialize that moment. But that was not my idea as much as I was asked to be a part of supporting this team.
Thank you.
Yes. Right. Thank you.
Lovely part.
Hello, so this last month, we was able to, get a lot of our next year stuff getting, situated for all of our one-to-one devices for across our district and, also our, wireless access points across the district. We're starting to see that we need to renew them. We actually got that kickstarted this year. And, to keep them all within support so that we can keep our wireless across the whole district, just to support all the one-to-one devices that all of our students use. Also the staffing devices and all that. We also actually just now, we got approved for to get Acorn Wireless as a secondary connection for our district. And that'll help take a lot of our strain on our network. Because we'll have two ISP, internet service providers across our district that will help balance it out a lot more, because it's been getting, we have a lot of devices, probably like 1,200 or 1,300 devices across our district that are being utilized constantly. And it puts a strain on our limited internet access right now. So having a secondary one, we'll be able to split that up and make it a lot more usable for everybody across the district. And it'll help keep everything moving. And I think everybody got a copy of my report. Anybody got any questions?
I do. I want to know what your secret to filling your position. Fill 2 positions.
Oh, yeah,
Real recently, I mean, it's wonderful.
yeah.
Just thought maybe you could share your secret.
I just know the right people, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it.
Before we talk about Hook Elementary, I need an update forward on the situation that happened at Trinity Valley as I was leaving Hoopa to come here. So principal called me, said, some kids, got home, called about a 6th grader that was in ACES, said that he possibly had a gun. So advisor called 911, deputy showed up, searched the kid, turned out to be an imitation captain. So, but the deputies responded within minutes, searched the kids, and so we're gonna handle that, discipline from the school. Plus, his guardian was notified and said, I told you not to bring that to school. So now that's been taken care of. So now on to Hoop Elementary. So this individual started on May 1st. He's been away from the school district, from the school for like 10 weeks. So finally, he came back to school, got in the fight in the cafeteria with another student, and basically said that the reason I'm beating you up because you're a snitch. So at that time, we didn't know anything about any kind of threats, but later that day, the victim came forward and said, hey, by the way, the guy who beat me up has been threatening me, has been said, if I come to, finds me at school, he's gonna beat me up, he's gonna shoot me, and been sending Snapchat pictures of guns. So that's how it started on late Monday afternoon then we came to Tuesday, some more kids were identified. And so made contact with the Hoopa Trouble Chief Ramos, who's currently on field training program with the sheriff's department. So they were working together, they knew what was going on. So we were talking about it, what was going on. And then, we're trying to make a plan, so then as it got later in the week, we discussed more of the threats. So basically all the threats were coming from 3 to 5 weeks ago. So when we talked to the sheriff department, they're saying, we can't do anything about the threats because it's happened so far back. Because you only have so many days after a threat to hot pursue it and then make arrest of the kid. So they would have to go to a warrant. So, we know that some of the staff was really scared, so we're at a special board meeting on Thursday night with the board. It was decided that I would be, basically transferred from my district position. I will move to Hoop Elementary to operate from there. We started that on Friday. And then, of course, over the weekend, I was answering calls and somewhere it was determined, somebody said, kids were talking about it and parent or teachers said, well, he's coming back to school on Monday. But he was already up for expulsion. So Mr. Kimball already got hold of the guardian and said he cannot come back to school. But there was people so afraid about Monday. So Sunday night, got hold of Chief Ramos, Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. We got hold of the Hoopa Tribal Court Probation Officer. So we were all there. At 7:30, I was there at 7 a.m., walked the campus. The only people I didn't meet was cooks, you know, so they were, but we skirted, so we did that yesterday. Working with Mr. Kimball, the reading programs that were moved to their special reading, we kept them inside. Restricted the playground, it was a little rainy yesterday, into the gyms, escorted them down to cafeteria. And then today we made the same things, you know, and no book fair. But this afternoon, me and my other safety officer, Giannis, went to that individual's house and he was cited for 3 offenses into the Hoopa Tribal Court. He has a court date of May 25th, 9 a.m. So, and of course, this week, we're going to finish that report. We have to have that report in. We're going to try to get it in Friday. But we have other victims that we're hearing, and that's all going to be included into the report. But also, this individual was rumored also to be at Pookie's Park at Little League games, showing off, displaying the weapon. But in those 2 incidents, there's only been 1 person coming forward in each one of those cases. Nobody else has seen this weapon and going from there. So, yesterday we did have a training with the Hoop Elementary staff, going over the procedures, you know, and there were some other issues about lockdown buckets, teachers and Indian heads, they didn't have one. So this morning, I got to those teachers and Indian heads, they all have current lockdown buckets. There were issues with the camera near the teacher who's out on the junior high. So the fastest I can get our camera guys here is tomorrow morning. That camera will be fixed and make some other adjustments to make sure over time the camera will drop. So we're adjusting cameras. There's also an issue, I think, in the Boom classroom about that guy going to the camera is look at that issue with the light. So
And alarm.
and the alarm. So okay. So and then also that was brought up into the portables on the west side of the campus, Vicom. So Rico, you've been working on those. So things have been coming up. We are taking care of them. Then there were some issues about some keys. So we're working with the facility, Mr. Trumbull. So when things are coming up, we're working to improve the safety of the campus. But I will say about that campus, it's huge. All right, so I'm saying now, if possible, we need another safety officer or 2, because then that relieves me, I can get into the classrooms. Because right now I can't get into the classrooms because we have the whole district. You know, we do have Angel Giannis, but we also have other schools. So if I had a little support, then we can get into the classrooms, teach kids what you do in fire drill, locked, earth. As of right now, I cannot do that. So, but that's up to you guys to decide that, but I would request that I need additional help. So.
Madam President, I think it's clear that we need to possibly offer Officer Oscar's crew the draft up plan, which is an A+ plan, not a B+ plan, an A+ plan to cover that school. I hear you. I went out May 2nd and did my best to control that campus, and I lost clearly. It's just, it is a big campus, and you're all around personnel. So I have experienced this firsthand for many years, but revisited it on May 2nd, and I agree. I think Madam President, let's empower these guys to build an A+ plan, and we talk about how we're going to get some more boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And not just, we're talking.
Yeah, the whole district,
Yes.
the high school, Captain John's, Trinity Valley, Wichita, Orleans, Jackson. No, so, because we all need to be on the same page, all drills, because it's a trend. I mean, unfortunately, when I got here 8 years ago into the district, it was like, we need to cut that school to prison pipeline. Let's take the fences down. Let's make it more friendly, open. But now with all the current shootings in the nation, everybody's turning everything back into a prison, unfortunately. But that's how do we protect our students and staff? But also, I would say one more thing was identified with fencing at Hoop Elementary. So Missy said she's gonna start getting some quotes, to finish the fencing from the softball field, on the north end and on the west end, is to look at that fencing, then also look at the iron looking black fence, see if we can improve, because some of those things, little kids, and there's some older kids, they slip right to the fencing, so that's something that we'll have to look at. So.
We also need to be thinking about some of the other sides, the wellness center, for example, we need the same thing.
Yeah.
And other district offices, whether it's related to training, in ed or just because we're out kind of on the side, we really need the same kind of.
Yeah, so it's just like the whole, if I get additional help, we can start working on that. And also one thing I did was communicated with Superintendent Lane. She wanted to put active shooter training PDs and before we come back to school. It's just something that we can offer, that everybody's on the same page at the beginning, and that will come from the Humboldt County Sheriff's Department. So, but we can also have other ideas that we can do, so. But that's the latest on the Hoop Elementary. Oh, and tomorrow we will ease little restrictions. We are going to do recess on the playground, but we have a strategy to have multiple people around. So when they're on the playground, once they're done, then we'll take them back to walk them back. So we're just gonna see how that goes. This has been input from the teachers. I don't know if he said he sent him, I don't know. But Mr. Kimball said he sent out an email, so I don't know if he.
Yeah, he sent out an email that, and from what I read, maybe 7 to 10 teachers responded. There was some concern, like, do we know where the child is and is he supervised?
So,
and if we know where he is and we have additional support and help, then we would like to allow our kids to have.
So yesterday, Sheriff Department did a little check on him. He was there. Today, this afternoon, he was there. So I did take a current picture of him. And that was sent to Mr. Kimball, and he also, I don't know.
He distributed it.
Okay,
So everybody has a current picture, so we know if we see him to initiate a lockdown.
so talking about the guardian said, taking his phone away, and he's again guaranteed me that there's no weapons in the house, but that is, she could just be saying that to me, said.
We were also told that if he did leave the house, that she would notify traffic police.
Yes.
And we would be be
Yeah.
notified too.
So that's,
That feels like reasonable insurance.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do have a question about what the time, how many times a year, that's what you said about how many times a year you're supposed to have this.
So lockdown drills by the state, we're supposed to have 2. So we do one in the fall, one in the spring semester. And fire alarm drills are every month. But it gets to the point at certain sites you get resistance. It's raining today. It's that, it says nothing of the staff or teachers. It comes from admin. So, because I've made out for, say, Hoop Elementary, I have made out a drill thing. And say, okay, I'm coming over to drill. Oh, no, we have book fair. Oh, we know training. Oh, we have assembly. And I'm like, okay,
Posters, on the walls in different places for the teacher, the staff to be able to read and say, oh, now, what next? Because
I can honestly say that each of the list for every fund at the beginning of the year and every cycle has a fund. And I will vouch for that there is always an inconvenience at site levels of when fire alarm drills are due. They are due monthly, so if you're not practicing them, then you guys need to.
But I do want to, because she's here, one of the military calls me, or sometimes I've been up there on the lockdown a few times, or at the fire drill, she sends me a note or a secretary, I'm doing my drill. And same with Trinity Valley Elementary. And calls up, "Oh, we're doing the drill, we know how to do the drill," and they do them, and they're marking them, so. Any other further questions you guys have?
I have a question, when I was growing up, because I'm old, we weren't told when they were going to happen, right? You did, there was no, oh, I gotta do this, hold up, right now, it's like, oh, on the phone or on my laptop, whatever. No, you got it, you didn't take anything, okay, I'm still here, take money. But you didn't take anything, you just got out. No, oh no, I'm doing something, or I'm on somewhere. We didn't do that. This is emergency, what if there was emergency, what if this young man showed up? And, oh, well, you don't know what to do, you know, and, you know, Commissioner, well, they shouldn't be telling them, oh, how about we're gonna have it 12:15 this. Everybody's waiting around school. Oh, yeah, so, no. Will you, in a real catastrophe or anything, it's a surprise. I have a feeling that we should be warned. Just get up and go like you're supposed to. You know, instead of, you know, telling us, you know, that's ridiculous. You know, I just don't like it. I think that we should be surprised. Yeah. But that wasn't one thing.
Well, I have a question regarding going to try to find anything private. So what's the next?
So since we got, I think that was the Orleans board meeting, they talked about Title 4B. Title 4B went away, and now we came back, and basically we have good relationship with this judge, but now it's official. We don't have any legal thing come back. Well, you cited me illegally, but now it's been approved by the Cooper Valley Tribe. It's back and we can send citations. So this is since it came back, this is our second citation that we've sent over.
So what are the ramifications?
So basically, he can be put on probation. You know, he can be, you know, or taken into custody. Well, he can. Well, there's programs potentially, maybe if he's rehab, if he needs other things that can send him places. It depends on the situation.
And also access services that we as a district can't provide.
So I can be part of his probation, you will go do this, counsel, go do this, you know. And then, hey, then it says, oh, you need to maintain the school. You need to have so much attendance. I don't know who's going to be first. Sorry.
I have a question. Prior to this, this shooting situation or whatever is happening, what about supervision during like normal school without any like scare going on? We had an instance where my nephew was beat up in a bathroom with a lot of kids. Do you guys regularly check the hallways?
Oh, yeah, he was walking around. I think that situation was, I think, what Mr. Phillips says, that they would go out, supposed to be going out to the playground, and all of a sudden, they see you move out there, and all of a sudden they're moving here, and then I think that's what happened, was your relative got in there, and that's what happened.
But it felt like such a long period of time for a huge group of boys to be in a bathroom.
Yeah.
You would think it would be loud and somebody would hear it somewhere, so do you guys routinely? Check everything?
They do, yeah, he does, and unfortunately, I didn't know that. They didn't talk about it, nobody informed me, and initially, nobody told, Angel about
Yeah, it was scary. It was
Yeah.
very scary to watch the number of kids in a bathroom and nobody else.
Yeah, I apologize for that, I know, so they're supposed to go, he's supposed to go around, but it was just, you know. It's over 400 some kids.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
What I had brought up at our staff meeting was the concern that what's going on at Hoopa L does not necessarily notify the Hoopa High. But I have a granddaughter in Hoopa High, it's only be away. Students, there's 2 students that we were concerned about this last week. The other student, is home now from her mental, social juvenile social program. But her sister was at the high school Friday, got in a fight on Friday, went home where the little girls stayed. And, you know, the 2 of them could talk. I mean, they're angry. Everybody's angry that the child got into a fight. And that's an example of how risky this, you know, these situations are. And I would feel comfortable as a grandmother that my granddaughter and the students are aware, you know, that this is happening over on ours. Or that something's happening on their side. We're made aware. We're not always made aware. But elementary teachers don't know what's going on at Captain John or at the high school. So, and yet we're just yards away from each other. We're so close in proximity. And we have siblings and relatives that are sharing these spaces. And my concern is that we're all notified. If it's confidential, I'm sure it's confidential, let it confidentially. This is happening over at that site. Be aware of, you know, guys have been good or this, they're running, you know,
Yeah,
they're
So-
kids, they're kids.
so regarding that, over the weekend, I did brief Vice Principal Beckstead about the situation. And when it was Monday morning, I said, you'll see additional officers. So at that time, before anybody came to the school, I had a high school radio. And then I carried a Hoop Elementary. So if there's something at the high school, they could contact me. And if I had to go there, I would, you know, so I was monitoring the whole situation, you know, so, and then, like I said, if it was a direct threat to the high school or to both of them, everybody would be notified. But as we investigated this situation with the 5th grader, there was no credible threats found to the high school or Captain John, so.
When you're saying notified, are you also notified to try? Sure, you're working with traffic, but there's also a lot of traffic entities.
So that's what we currently have an MOU, so once I told Chief Reynolds, he should took it to that level, or in case you guys have something, you know, if you guys have to go into long run jobs, facility, he's supposed to notify us. Something's going on there, we be aware, or we have to. So I don't know if he notified everyone else.
This needs to be practiced.
I was like, because there was a drill that yesterday in our camp. And there was a drill happening at elementary.
Next day, call me immediately, my phone.
That's, I guess, my question.
Yeah.
How is it formally?
Yeah. But we were doing it. In house. Yeah, I'll take that advice. By you guys. We do that at the high school. Thank you for that.
Now, do we feel well, we'd like to be notified of any of the students or all of the students, because we get everything from each of those sites. And we're not connected to any of the sites, so.
You're connected to the high school by Micron.
Listen to what I'm saying, through email, we're not connected to any of those groups where these are. Icon, we go into a lockdown, then we will hear it, but otherwise, we have no way of knowing.
I think actually what she's saying, I think might be important, because we may be having like a crisis or an issue with the student, and they go to the wellness center.
Yeah.
And if they don't know that that student has made these threats or is the person, could put them at risk. So I kind of think that what she's saying probably should be addressed, just because that's where the kids are going to. Yeah, like that's where they're running to, right? Is that the concern?
You are 100%.
Because that's what I would think too, is that if they have a threat or a crisis, those students because we're talking about wellness and when you're stressed, this is where you go, this is what you do, they might go there with it. And they might not know that student made a friend, so maybe we should figure out a way to include them, loop them in
So-
that.
And then also, I do have a problem with Two Feathers. And the situation at John, which they came and evaluated a student and didn't tell us the outcome of that to school safety. And since that day, that kid has been on the run. Has not received any kind of help. And as we talked to your former school nurse, we were talking, he should have went 50-50. But Two Feathers cleared it. So that's like, so now that time, I've been told is that if I, or school nurse in mine, there's no school nurse, if I determine they're 50-50, they're gonna go. And if Two Feathers is there, I'm gonna override them. Because of that situation, that kid is now, understand he is OD 5 times since that day he's in contact with kept on, and that whole, he's a runaway.
Sorry, we're getting on the point of,
Okay,
so,
anything else for me?
do we have any other questions?
So.
I just want to say, I just wanted you to know how much we appreciate what you're doing and that you took seriously the board concerns and we did call our special meeting and that you have implemented everything that we've asked you to do and you're doing that without full admin staff. So I want you to acknowledge the work that you and your staff are doing and that you know how much we appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We had to get everybody was there, we didn't have that intercom thing, so we didn't know anything that was going on. But since that has been there, Christie could hear it, and I could hear it, whatever, whether it's just an announcement or whatever. Unfortunately, I gave my radio back, and didn't get back this year. But, I mean, that's not law, if you know, when there was a lockdown, because I just told we had to do, lock the doors, close the blinds. But we did what Christie and I knew what we had to do, so we did. And, but that intercom has helped a lot.
And thank you for cutting me out of the van today.
If you like this, really, I think that magnify it's not short. We have one lady in front. Yeah, he's not.
Maintenance transportation.
Thank you for having me. I would like you to fall back to my April report. A lot of things don't change in maintenance and transportation. The only numbers that will change in that department is field trips, use permits. We've seen over 750 use permits this year. We're up to 395 field trips and we're getting more and more booked right now. Facility side, there's always something going on in facilities. So if you have any questions, I've heard some concerns. I've also heard some confidentiality stuff that's thrown out in here today. So again, my name was used as Trimble. And so I'd like to, if there's any questions for me on safety, I'd be happy to answer that and clear some of your minds on some of that. So, so I've heard that name come out and I want to, anytime, my door's open and I'll give you the truth. So, on anything else for maintenance and facilities that you guys have for me? Transportation?
Well, thank you for taking care of our kids the other day, you took a field trip.
Yeah.
Hello. That driver and staff at the school, elementary school on a trip.
Yeah.
I appreciate how you guys reacted to it.
And I would like to thank Blue Lake. They were eager to take us in. We had a great teacher on board with us and we had to conquer a terrible incident on the mountain and we had to set back and Blue Lake was able to house us for a couple hours. That was very nice of them to do because it could have been tragic there. So we got in right behind it and other of our people were traveling for track. We're on the other side of it when the tragic incident happened on mountain. And I was thankful to Blue Lake that they housed us for a few hours. And so we had to hang still there. So every day is minute for minute in transportation, very busy place. There's never a dull moment. But I am happy also that we are filling our bus driving, all of our positions. We didn't get no new employees outside. We were only borrowing from other people, so we didn't gain anybody. We actually stole from another place. So unfortunately, that's the bunk of that, because somebody else is losing out, but I am gaining and my department is filling up. I'm almost full in my department. So now to where I'm like, oh, I got this here, that here, I'm like, where can I put these people now? So positions are filling, the workforce is coming back a little bit, so in my areas.
And are your buses okay? Because it seems like I saw.
Oh.
a bus breakdown or something.
You'll see bus breakdowns every day. That's never ending on that. We have some old fleet and it's just never ending. And there's not a good coming for electric. I can see us running the valley floor and Hoopa a little bit, but not what we need buses for. So we do have some newer buses in and we did get the grant for one more we should see in August. It'll be another diesel, but everybody's wanting to see electric and we know where we live, but I'm not super fan on electric yet. Yes.
So the incident for the Robertsboro and the.
Oh, man.
Was there a person like? For that?
Yes, so a couple days ago, well, it's been about a week and a half ago now, a person downtown was down throwing rocks that missed the first two buses, now my Orleans bus going. And so anytime we get stuck in those, it's automatically a school bus accident. So you have to pull over, we have to go in a pull down lockdown, and it was hot that day. And so, yeah, it's not fun. And we're bound by CHP. So we know what it means to be locked down in a bus full of kids. It's not fun. We're not in a classroom. We're not anywhere. We're stuck on a bus. And the only guy that can release me is CHP. And we lucked out that day because there was a different incident happening up on Bear Road. So he was local. So we only had to wait 45 minutes versus 2 hours, 3 hours if they come out of the coast. So we were very fortunate and we did have fortunately it went all the way through and it, did damage to our kids and they did end up, somebody got skinned up on the leg from glass. So we had to immediately remove the bus as soon as we can, had to bring a new bus in so we can get the kids home. Kids in the local Orleans area were late. Downriver down here, we're late for by about an hour, put us behind, but could have been a lot later there on that incident. So, and we still are dealing with that because a person did get arrested right on scene because he was too close to downtown still when the accident happened, that I had to make sure our kids were safe because we have to pull over to a safe location, but not where the person is still throwing the rock. So they did respond right away and they did make an arrest. So
was he specifically targeting the buses or was he just, because I guess my question is, was that a specific?
I don't, honestly, I don't think so. I think because other people in the community had their cars hit too. It sounded like he may have been raising ruckus downtown in Hoopa that day. So I don't know any more details. It hasn't been brought to me that they were purposely aiming at our students or our bus. I would hope not, but that would be, but he did hit our bus, so.
And I just want to have a compliment. I got a compliment from parents in the community talking about the bus driver down here that, we've had so much storm damage and trees and brush on the road. And they just really complimented our school bus driver and said they don't know how she does it. They meet her on the road. There's never, almost accident or anything. She just really does a good job. So I just want to share that.
Oh, I love hearing that. And I will gladly share that to her. She would appreciate hearing that. She's got the biggest, longest, trenches road.
Look what you guys are seeing looks really nice right now because we've
Right.
construction workers in here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, getting all the brush and trees off the road. But there were long periods of time, even after we went back to school, that there was just barely one-way traffic down here. You had to get over and get off the ditch or on the side.
It's pretty rough for you guys down this winter. You guys get hit hard down here.
Yeah.
I couldn't even get up to the school to fix things for a little while until they can help us out. So pretty rough winter that you guys got beat up down here this winter. You did. So, yeah, but I will share that with my bus driver. She'll like to hear that.
Anything else? Does anybody else have any questions for me? Thank you.
Our previous IPP recommendation from like 2013, 14, and 21. And so I'm gonna figure it out. File them some more. Pretty busy. It is full peak Indian Ed season, so I provided a calendar, it's updated and changed since the last time you saw it. Filling up more and more, so lots of events. Salmon run happening next week. Fish fair at the high school happening on the 26th. Hopefully fish fair at the elementary school June 2nd. Lots of rallies, wellness days, projects happening in between. There is a long-standing project that was in my office since I think Margot left for a drum making project from 5th grade students last year. And they just started to finish them again this week, so that's super exciting. We're fully staffed almost, just a few more 3-hour positions to fill, but in my office, they're fully staffed. That is going well. Impact aid report, there is a draft in your packet, so that is there. I've left it as a draft because it may change slightly a little bit more. Each time we're looking at it, we're finding new things to add. So the copy you have actually does not have suspension, but I have extra copies if you want suspension. We're also in the process of trying to track down expulsions and suspended expulsions so that we can capture that in this report. And then I think we're pretty close to all the way done. And so it can stay on the June. I can do a final draft in June if you would like. Then we'll get that out to all of our tribe and everybody can see that. The policy is in there, sharing the IPP recommendations. We do have another IPP meeting set for the first Wednesday of June, and we will finish up some recommendations for that as well. I don't know if everyone's out here because we're getting food then, but now that I'm on this side of education, one thing that I've been very, or trying to pay a lot of attention to is LCAP engagement. And so we will be doing that during closed session. Everyone really stick around while we're waiting. There's some surveys, some goals, some things we can work on in time and take that into the time together. While the board is in closed session, and then we'll try to do more of that. There is still supposed to be a parent advisory committee meeting or larger community event just for LCAP sometime in the month of May. So I know time is ticking. It'll be hard to find a date, but hopefully we do that and fix that soon. I think that's all. Just a big thank you to all of our IPP members and Indian Education Committee members, because we've been meeting nonstop, it feels like. So that's been very helpful that everybody has been coming back. Are there any questions? It's been busy, but good. We have the Joy Harville event at the elementary school. I think went really well. All of the poets that you were reading earlier, some of them got to read their poetry to Joy Harjo in a more intimate setting. That was really sweet. And she, spoke them up very highly, and I think they all felt really good about that. So that felt good. We're working pretty closely with State California Salmon on Salmon Run, getting some presentations and rallies going pretty soon. So that'll be exciting. It's the 20th year of the Salmon Run, which is pretty crazy. But exciting. And yeah, lots. We're hosting some foreign exchange students that are coming to Hoopa High on the 12th. And we have one currently that's the parent, but the rest of her cohort that are scattered throughout the coast are going to come and visit Hoopa, and in particular Hoopa High on Friday. So that should be a good time also. And just some cultural sharing. Any questions?
And Fish Fair, KT Fish Fair would really like to tell Erica, thank you too for all the help and support she's giving KT Fish Fair this year. We couldn't do it without you. Yeah, those, my husband, Leroy, those staff. And, so I really appreciate all your hard work and efforts. 90th annual Fish Fair. Thank you very much.
It's not available, if you ever do your packet. Well, we're going to school sites, Orleans Elementary.
So you all have a copy of the newsletter for May. I will add two things. One, we're starting our cast testing next week. It's nice to have a week blocked out for that. We're hoping to knock it out. We got a field trip going to the Iron Gate Dam tomorrow. Lots of big events happening. Manic May is what I was talking about. And the track team, we have a track team this year. We have eight athletes. Just had our second meet on Saturday, and our third and final meet is this Saturday. And it's so fun to see our athletes from our little genie school go out there and compete with all of the schools in Humboldt County area and win. We win, and it's so exciting. So they love that, and yeah, it's been a good experience. Are there any questions for me about?
Are you going to Iron Gate Factory?
We're going to the Iron Gate Dam, and this is field trip. It's in conjunction with a lot of other organizations, and so there's going to be stations and different educational things that the kids are going to learn about. What they expect to happen, they have to down.
Where they do the hatchery and where they pick.
And they are gonna go to the hatchery as well.
It's sad.
Yeah. I think that they are going to do that as well, so.
It's to see that. It's bad.
Someone's bringing a water table and they're gonna do, yeah. We have a lot of support with this field trip. It's a long drive. Any other questions? Thank you.
And Jack Dorfman.
I forget what I wrote about, but I do want to give a shout out to the Yurok Cultural Fire. They donated a chipper, a crew, saws, man. They cleaned up this school. This school after the winter was a disaster. And so Cultural Fire really came in and helped clean this school up. So that's a big thing. Yeah, so, and Margot took us on a field trip, which back on that Hazel Stick gathering. That was a lot of fun. And it's in the paper. I hope everybody reads TRT and 6th, 7th graders to CR College Day, but not anything big or new. So it's in the packet. Any questions?
Great, notes. You did very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They're just laughing. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's not here, but we want. And KTJUSD.
The retirement package?
Retirement package.
sorry.
A retirement package?
Oh,
Do we have a retirement package?
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Or you don't have to have a handout. I would discuss one, I'd ask you every meeting, I would discuss a retirement package for retirees.
Yeah, go to your national stuff.
I don't think anything. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, if we have,
I'm not disgusted, but I think, do you have to open up the discussion with our,
I am under the impression you could offer one, but you could, they're not as part of the union, but they're retired. I don't really know.
I mean, I think, I don't know, that's about, you try to decide, okay, and then we needed, I mean, you could, our superintendent would be about it, and then we want. Okay, I would encourage you to do that.
Present it to you.
Barbara, can you send us things every time, the audit we had there, it was a segment of we recall the process. Some about how it's allocated in the audit for even this year, there was a figure that plan in early retirement or retirement in the audit papers. Do you recall how possible with that?
We do have a fund, that's a retirement fund.
Yeah, but there's, it says early retirement.
Early retirement incentive, that was about 5 years ago.
From my understanding of, the retirement is, let's say, we have some that what we do is we negotiate our retirement. And so we're out of that, like, we set aside $600 and we pay it out every year, however long. And that we did that 5 or 6 years ago, and we're and we have finished last year doing that. Finished paying that off. So we're now in a position again to open up negotiation for a retirement. But we shouldn't have been able to this year, because we paid it off last year, right? What has to be negotiated is current.
It can be opened up at any time.
Okay.
Still an opportunity?
Take it.
Yeah. Okay.
What you want?
Okay, if on the same note, are you guys gonna be offering a retirement honoring event for those who plan to retire? I mean, yeah, like combined events, you have something planned?
Do we have any knowledge of anybody?
We're doing a different one.
One.
So there's one, but well, they started coming in, I'm sure.
Okay, so I'm trying to see your calendar, they think it gets. You have one sitting right there.
This year's retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have all our retirements in yet, do we?
No, but I just can expect.
I,
Okay, a lot of them have been waiting to hear back, like, they've been asking, they even knock on your door, ask at midnight, are you offering an incentive? So, they've kind of been holding back, hoping, really hoping.
so that is not recommended, because I would be having to guess what we have. It, you know, there's a formula that you.
Okay, yeah. Okay, we can do that. Okay.
All right, and just so you know, in regards to the leadership, that's our last payment video for our last handshake that we provided to the retirees
It's pending.
this year.
Oh,
So.
This year, the last.
Is it something we can?
Well, it's, well, you need a list of
how many folks are retiring, we don't have that, so there's no way you can submit it to. That's another retirement issue. No, the last meeting, no, just not that high. When I do the average, like, I am not sure 30 and that's fine. Take it.
Don't hit the dog, we have to show saying.
Okay, there are time. There are deadlines, there is a time, when is it? Well, it should have been probably back in October, because I have to come through. Just negotiate, so I can't speak, however, you have to have how many retirees for units, CSEA, KTJA. We have to have those numbers, because we then send it to a company then provides us information on what it would look like if the district could afford how many years out, based on the retirees that are, is there a savings? Is there a savings to offer an incentive? We've never received any persons with actual that were saying, yes, I'm going to retire. So in order to qualify for this, all of these teachers do not retire before June 30th, but retire August 24th. Is that what you're saying? In order to retire for next year? No, as far as the savings would go, you would need to know prior to the June 30th, because you would need to be able to advertise, you have to have it right information with what they are. You give them that timeline so that the district has enough time to be able to advertise to do, you know, enough advertising in August. You're not allowing your district to fill positions that they're leaving in August.
They work Murphy, but
If I give you the list, it works on the students, if then they can say, no, because it would not be enough time to stay. Ever people retired for people that are retiring this year.
but they don't have to.
It would not be submitted in budget adoption, it would be any of, we wouldn't be able to provide that savings moving forward, because if you're saying, okay, I'm going to retire in August. The full part is saying, I just like that's an acronym, and I cannot remember the exact what company that is. However, you need from October to know, to identify the year, how to allow the district to provide your students also the comfort that you know you're going to have 5 teachers retiring at the end of that school year. Never got it in October, November. You would do the study, then would it be a savings to be able to offer, could the district afford paying out whatever the incentive is 2 parts, because it goes 3 parts at that point, it doesn't go run through the district. And that, they'll say yes or no, the district would be able to, it would be a savings for the district to offer such an incentive. Or if it was, we didn't have any, a long list of folks that are up on the salary schedule, but just looking at those type of situations, then it may not be a savings, it may not be an incentive then to, you know, to say, oh, but this is what we're going to provide you, when we're still bringing in new teachers at the same amount. So it's just kind of, it's
the exact date, because you said October and November.
I don't have an exact date.
Anytime between October and November. Get together, group and come approach the superintendent.
You can find out a time, find out for this.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, is there a date?
You have to negotiate that with your superintendent this year.
Yeah, but they may not if it's on the table. That's what I'm saying, this is new, this is new information.
So I guess that's my question, that I'm really confused for me. So we have.
I just did.
It's actually they might retire or that they are committed to, I don't understand.
So there's she's looking for it, she would like to know, is there an incentive to retire or retirement incentive to get, so she can go back and tell them people who were very. We're thinking whether they're going to.
So you don't have the paperwork, so they're still on the fence.
But that's what they're looking for. What Kirby is saying is, the school district has to know, and by a certain date, who is definitely gonna retire before we can even calculate the retirement package or whatever that is she's asking about. So it's not something that we can just give you to say, and you can get back to these people and see whether or not they want to take it. Is my understanding. We have to know who's the retired, how many are retired, how many years they put in.
Yes.
And there's a formula that has to happen. And then we gotta be also, the district has to be able to start advertising for that position, so that it's filled. So there's gotta be a number. That's my understanding.
Okay, so I need the deadline.
So you need to talk with Jennifer to find out.
Okay, that's what I wanted to, that I can get very accurate information.
Right.
So this is something. Yeah.
Oh, I think what this group was trying to ask is how we can do this, not how we can't do this. And for all that discussion, October, November, being notified of the teacher potentially retiring, we had that situation last year with Mr. McKelton when he retired. There wasn't active advertising to get a replacement for him. We all knew that he was going to be leaving his position, and everything that you just said didn't happen. So it tells me that maybe what Ms. Moon is asking is something that can be modified. So teachers who are in the May, June of their teaching decide to retire, at this point, they should be able to come to you and say, I'm going to retire this year. What kind of retirement, what kind of incentive can I get? We've had, what did I see? Most of the primary teacher positions, I think in the upper grades, I saw 7th grade was not advertised for teaching for next year, teachers for next year. Work is what I'm saying. And I hope that the board would work with Ms. Hosmer to modify that process so it can happen later in the year.
Well, I appreciate Barbie having a candid conversation with us that can, without facts. I appreciate you doing that because we haven't. She has approached the board more than one time. I have been here, where she has looked directly at our superintendent, and we've just got blank stares from everyone. So this is a good conversation. I appreciate you trying to keep us abreast of how this process works, because this is the first conversation. And she has asked over and over and over, because she's being hounded by teachers. Way back 2 years ago when COVID hit, these elderly teachers, and it happened all across the country, teachers were wanting to retire. And I was told last year that the State Department was going to send school district incentive monies to retire. Because of the age group of teachers that are out there in California. So I don't know if that money's came or we didn't get that monies, or the governor pulled back that money. That was the rumor to the teacher union, that was coming down. So we were kind of waiting for them. But had we in the past 5 or 6 years ago, I remember the superintendent saying, "You give us 3 teachers." They just threw out enough. You give us 3 teachers who are going to be committed, and we had those 3 teachers. We had those 3 teachers in October. But we didn't feel like it was conversation coming back. So, thank you. Okay. We want to know more. CSEA, we have CSEA here.
Yes.
I'm not gonna get an answer.
So basically, we've had a couple situations where that we were able to resolve,
Another one that we're gonna be working on right now, on the negotiations with other schools, and we will be negotiating on Wednesday and May, and before that day, we're hoping to get it done today, not another date. As far as I can see, I've been sharing everything I received, whether it's from Carmi, whether it's from Holly, whether it's from Jennifer, and make sure I get it out to all our officers, including our representatives for these schools. But I want them to be able to know, so if they have any questions, they can do it me, and whether it be Billy, Trish, myself, or Holly, get it to Holly. And we listen to what she said and the suggestions and so forth. A lot of things were installed on our phone. As far as I know, we did a lot of things, but we usually trade from myself, from employees, just asking questions. And we pretty much, if you don't know the answer, we'll find out. Try to pay attention to our PFA members, recently, send out letters and stuff for the new employees that have joined our crew, see if they want to be in the. Other than that, it's going pretty good, and we're going to be ready. Oh, and then one more thing is, some of the members are asking that to ask if Paige, Jerry, and Martha would be willing to be in negotiations. When we negotiate on the city. And I did send something together, let her know. And you know, somebody else might want to do that. That they work at there, Gary work there, Martha, she's there. So guys, can that would be great. We're about to go on to the day. Let me know, and those are the people left. But then, we're good. Sorry. Did you guys get a chance to calendar and the KTJUSD and KTJUSD.com on their present spring break and
So one more item that I'd like to be more of a clarification regarding that, because I think that needs to be a discussion, because we did receive the calendar from this moon. Right. And that's, and we took all that into consideration, but when it comes up, I would like to share a bit more.
well, we have.
Almost everybody was reading. I think you guys might have it on calendar.
Like we're in Google Docs, so that's what we were, we just added the holidays that we did the contracts. We followed what was provided to us from, you know. The spring break was by change in what we had originally, that's what we originally received. What is it, Kim? But anyway, we'll get to that action, I'm going to be told, but okay. You are posting the works.
From area to better having more signs. We've been having a lot of training with Fred. And they're very informational. We are learning a lot of, you know, we're working on our policies and we're getting those done. We're nearly complete with that. So we've been doing a lot of work. We've been going to a lot of trainings. I've been going to attending Ed and IPP with Erica and Sarah and she's been working really hard on getting the grants and just getting information out to everybody. We really struggle with keeping parental involvement. And I take that
I take that to heart because that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do something for, was to, create a better conversation with parents and teachers and the committees and everything. I think we just don't have parental involvement, but I get it now that it's difficult to achieve, but we are working on it. And I also attended the seminar, the thing with the poet, and listened to with the students reading their poems and stuff, and then I brought the board and stuff in your packet. It was really awesome. The poems were great. The students they were so good. You know, they were really good. It was really a pleasant experience. I really enjoyed that. I just want to thank all that brought that to our community. And I appreciate all the teachers' hard work and everybody's hard work. You know, I just want to let you know.
Hey, Brian, comment on some session items. Seeing none, we will adjourn the closed session.